Dating in your 30s, 40s, 50s, or beyond, it's a whole new world, and it can feel exciting, intimidating, and exhausting all at once. Whether you're swiping, getting set up, or just thinking about putting yourself back out there, how you feel in your body matters. Confidence, chemistry, and presence don't come from a perfect body. They come from a body that feels alive. And that's where movement comes in. Not the gym grind, just moving. NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, is the subtle daily movement that helps boost your posture, your energy, your mood, and yes, even your flirting game. In this episode, we're talking about how simple, intentional movement can help you walk into any room or any date with more ease, energy, and confidence. Because when you move like you mean it, the whole vibe shifts. And now, welcome Greg Burwell, the founder of Zero Sweat Fitness, who is joining us by phone for this particular episode to help us understand how NEAT can have a big impact on how we feel and live. Hi, Greg.
Good morning, everyone. How are you?
Pretty good.
Excellent.
It's tough to get in front of people and talk about dating and relationships, but I think the overall theme of today's episode is to really understand that how we feel in our bodies doesn't just impact dating. That's a big thing, but also like walking into a room at the office or walking into a party, a social event, and feeling confident in your own body. But we are going to start by talking about that hot topic of dating. So I'm curious, ladies, are you out there? Are you dating?
I am dating.
Hi, Stephanie.
Yeah, I'm dating.
How's that going?
It's going okay. I think, we're both young and we're in a really hot city in Atlanta, so it's a lot of options out there.
I'm curious, how long, let's see. Can I say how old are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm 34.
34,
Yes.
Okay. And how long has it been? Have you always been dating or did you take a break? Is this a new adventure?
Yeah, so I took a break because I was doing a lot of working. Obviously, I'm in real estate and my work is kind of like my life, and dating was not really a priority. So I just started coming back out to date recently, actually for the past 2 years.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm curious, how does it feel different from when you dated back maybe in your 20s?
I think we look for different characteristics. Maybe when we were younger, we were more immature. Now we look for more integrity, character, things like that matter more.
So true.
Yeah.
I mean, I can honestly speak for myself. What I know now, I had no clue. I didn't know I didn't have a clue. You don't know what you don't know, I guess, when you're 20. But now looking back, it's like, oh, if I could go back and talk to that young person and just I don't know if she'd listen because she was 20. But yeah, it's amazing, especially with social media, I think, and media in general, the information that's out there and a better understanding of even things like what's a red flag.
Yeah.
So I guess now it's, as you approach the dating scene, you feel much more prepared and can spot things more quickly and not waste so much time on maybe the wrong person.
Definitely, yeah, I agree.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, tell us.
I am in a relationship. I've been in a relationship for about a year and some change now.
Awesome.
So yeah, but it's hard dating in Atlanta.
So I'm assuming you were dating before this relationship.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what was that like? Were you in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I used some apps here and there, but it was primarily just people that I knew. Because it was interesting because it's we really vibe as friends, but then as more, it's not really. We don't really vibe like that, I guess,
Gotcha.
For lack of a better term. So it was interesting dating. But I'm happy that now I can just kind of date one person.
It's a lot less stressful.
Exactly.
I feel like there is a lot to be fearful of out there. I hear horror stories all the time. I feel like, especially at work when people are chatting, and I hear catfishing, which you guys reminded me of that term before we started the show. But and then just I feel like there's a lot of people out there on the apps who just tell you and say what they think you want to hear just to achieve a goal, shall we say.
Yeah.
And then when they've achieved that goal, it's swiped on to the next one. Is that kind of your take on your experience? Or maybe you've never experienced the apps?
So I've only had one app, but like you said, I always tell women not to tell men when they ask, "What are you looking for?" Because you're kind of giving them a blueprint of everything that they
should say.
pretend to be.
That is good advice.
So I always tell them like, I'll let you know when I see it, you know.
Nice. Smart.
So that, you know, you can get away from that whole like, I'm going to pretend to be this way until I can get further or whatever, you know what I mean? So yeah, but I have one app and I don't really use it often, honestly. I forget that it's on my phone oftentimes, but when I do, it's like, it's very easy to get a date there. They're like ready to go out the same night.
A dime a dozen.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Hey, can I ask you a question? I'm just curious. Are you familiar with the show Pop the Balloon or Find Love?
Yes.
Okay. The thing that intrigued me was when you said you don't tell what you're looking for. Yet on the show, they're always asking, well, what are you looking for in a significant other? So I found that comment curious. So do you think that makes you more disingenuous or?
Vulnerable. You're vulnerable.
I think it definitely makes you vulnerable because there's a power dynamic between men and women are not overpowering the men typically. So like if you're telling a man, especially because we've been conditioned in society to be a certain way as women, to take care of men, to have a Prince Charming and things like that, then you will kind of put yourself in a lesser position. So there's, because it can come off rude, right? Like I'll let you know when I see it. So there's other ways I may say it, but I'm not going to list out the blueprint because I already kind of know.
Yeah.
I've been living
You just be you and I'll be me and we'll see where this goes. Yeah. Is that your best advice?
Yeah, we just get to know each other. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess the show Pop the Balloon for Love, Greg, I have to confess, I watched the show a lot. I find it really entertaining, yes, and funny, and I always love to see what people are going to wear, but yeah, I guess that's a different format, right? So what she's advising to people to kind of keep your guard up and not give away all of your secrets, that probably wouldn't work on that show, huh?
Probably not, nor would it work on a show like, and I have to confess, I have watched a few episodes of Love Island, but the whole idea is to connect with someone, is the whole idea. Now, I'm mindful of the fact that it's a reality show, and so it's...
entertainment.
Yes, and keep it in mind. But in the real world, I mean, I guess dating is tricky and full of landmines as well. So I was just curious as to how that approach worked for you.
Well, I will say that in my body, I feel when it's time to like express more, or if somebody asks me a question like that, I can kind of feel if they're genuine in my body. So I may just give them more. Right. That kind of connects it back. It's something like a intuition or some type of like, you know how our systems and we have like a fight or flight, things like that. It's that.
Listen to that.
Yeah, I listen to that a lot.
You know, that makes me think of in my 20s or in people in general in their 20s, we don't listen to those things. I know me personally, I think I always tried to be the good girl, you know? So like if I felt those things, I would suppress because it didn't feel acceptable or like that was the nice thing to express. Like you feel that way and that's on you. So you just suppress it. So that's interesting. Yeah. As we mature, we go, oh, wait a minute, I'm feeling that way for a reason and I need to listen to it. Yes, that's wisdom right there.
Right. Yeah. And also, not to get off too far off on that tangent, but there are people who will look for spiritual guidance, and it's almost like, you know, everything your body is screaming, don't do it, but you're waiting for that big sign to come down from the sky to say, don't do it, or a red flag. And it's your intuition all along that is acting in essence as your spiritual guidance per se.
Well, yeah, and I think that goes back to confidence, which I know we were going to talk a lot about today because it goes hand in hand with like movement. But when someone is standing in front of you telling you something that inside you're feeling might not be true or isn't, like I know as a young person, you believe the person they must be right because I'm probably the wrong one. But as we get older and wiser, we start to, like you said, trust yourself and feel more confident in how we feel. And so, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And speaking of confidence, like what does that feel like to you guys in your bodies? Like when you're approaching a date or even in a relationship that you've had going for, you said a year or a year and a half. How does that feel? Like, do you find in your relationship that there are moments when you don't feel as secure or confident with your body and that impacts the relationship? Or if you're, Stephanie, if you're approaching a date, like, do you ever feel less than physically, or maybe it starts internal, and then how you approach a date doesn't feel as confident just because of how your body feels? What does confidence feel like, I guess?
It's a good question. Confidence does feel, like security in your body, knowing yourself. I think intuition also helps with confidence, just kind of knowing like, okay, this person feels good to me. So in turn, I'm going to show up kind of as my best self. But yeah, confidence to me is just feeling good, feeling kind of sturdy, I guess, in yourself.
Do you ever find times when you don't feel confident, even in your relationship?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's some times where I'm like super busy and I'm not showing up for my partner, and I feel bad because of that. So I try to, I guess, make the time and stuff like that, and it's very, I guess, intentional. Making the time for your partner, because after a year and a half, it's just kind of like, it is what it is, and I hate going into that, it is what it is, but it's like you feel so comfortable with this person.
Yes.
You know that they're there for you, you're there for them, so things can kind of just get
Autopilot.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. So
I mean, I think to a degree what you're saying is okay, because isn't that person supposed to be your safe space? It should be okay for you to be not 100% around that person, and it should still be okay. But I think what you're saying is it's easy to kind of like settle in and not really try and put forth the intentional effort, right? Is that what you're saying?
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably true for a lot of us. How about you, Stephanie? Do you ever find when you're like if you're not having a good body day, or how does that feel to you? Does that impact your dating?
I'm a very confident person, but I will say that sometimes I do, like, because we have so much surgery in this social media age, where it's like you're also comparing yourself to all of that. We're keeping up with that on social media. So I can see how women can do that, but I do take pride in just like, this is my aging body and this is what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to age and die, eventually.
Right.
But no, I think I show up the way that I'm supposed to show up, because I think if I'm looking for somebody to be a lifelong partner,
They need to see
then
all
they
of you.
should. Yes, they should see all of me and accept that. So if they don't, then you're not the
That's
one.
not the one. I do love that. Today, Greg was going to talk to us a little bit, though, because I think I probably maybe am not as confident. I have always struggled with confidence, and I don't know if that's like my ballet background, which is sort of an environment, not to speak negatively about ballet. I think you can say this about any sport or activity that someone dives into that seriously, but you are expected to give everything and expect nothing in return, and that's somehow virtuous. And so I think over the years that really can reduce your confidence, because you feel you're always putting yourself like sort of down, just to make someone else accept you. At least that's how it felt to me. So as I am aging, I am trying to learn confidence, and I am becoming more aware since I started talking to Greg a lot about zero sweat fitness. And even observing women, I will be honest, observing you in the office, I often think, wow, like she's got it figured out. Like you come into the room and you are so confident always. And that you exude confidence. And I do sit back sometimes and go, I can get there. Like I feel like when Greg and I are talking about movements, sometimes it is just a simple awareness of, say, my posture. I will recognize if I'm feeling kind of insecure or less than, I will take note of how I'm sitting or how I'm standing, and I will change it, and I will open my chest. And Greg talks a lot about scapular retraction, which is like how you pull the shoulder blades back towards each other, and scapular depression, which is sort of pushing down, which is easy for me because that was all technique in the ballet world too. But it's amazing how when I let myself start feeling less than, how all of that kind of closes in. So just having that awareness and that education from Zero Sweat Fitness has allowed me to think about just simple movements that I can do with myself and my posture that make me feel more confident. Even if it's not here yet, I can start to feel it in my body. And then it's interesting how people will start to read me differently and think, wow, she's really confident. And I've had people say that just openly, and it always catches me off guard. And I'm like, I'm actually not. But I'm glad that it read that way. So you got to start somewhere. Greg, besides scapular retraction and depression, is there something, if we're talking to women who are trying to go out into the, I know we're all aware of it now, is there something that, like a little routine that we can give women or men before they go into an insecure setting, whether it be a date or just a self-decision to walk into the room with their significant other and be present and really set off a different vibe, or if it's going into a conference room and feeling intimidated, maybe what can we do? Are there some little subtle movements relating to NEAT that would help us?
Okay. Well, one thing you touched upon, which is really important, is posture, because before we actually interact with someone, we are looking at them. So it's the visual. So how you project, in large part, starts off with your posture. If you're slumped, your chin is forward, you do not come across as confident as someone who's standing upright, shoulders back and down, and your chin back. So posture will be the first indicator of your confidence level, and you project. And so the key is the visual. And we always say that men are more visual than women, but women are too, but it's more of a subconscious thing. And then you get your read based upon what you see initially. All right. So number one would definitely be posture. Now, the problem with posture is we sit in very comfortable chairs and we have a tendency to slouch all the time. So I always tell people one great neat hack would be, instead of using a chair, use a yoga ball and sit on, okay? That forces you into good posture. Additionally, you'll burn approximately 80 more calories per hour just by sitting in good posture, okay? Now, if you think of that over time, that is really significant as far as calories. And I know a lot of people still count calories, so that is one way, one quick, easy hack. Now, another thing is you cannot fall asleep on the yoga ball. And if you did, you would only do that one time because you'd end up on the floor. Okay, so it helps you maintain good posture. That's number one. Number two, you mentioned scapular retraction, squeezing the shoulder blades together. That's something else you can do while you're in your office. So even if you're still in a chair, you can do your retraction exercises, i.e. just squeezing your shoulder blades together for a count of 5 and releasing slowly, and then pulling them back for a count of 5. If we look at some people who are aged, particularly in 70 plus, we notice that a lot of women are into protraction, where the scapula is actually pulling away from the center line or from the spine. And that is simply because of sarcopenia, muscle wasting. The skeletal muscles actually control the skeleton. And so if there is nothing controlling it, it will go away. So you'll get into a lot of protraction. You'll see ladies who will roll their shoulders forward because they lack the strength to keep good posture. So that is another good thing to do. And actually elevation helps, or raising your shoulders up for a second, 5, and then pushing them back down, depression, in order to go ahead and get rid of the tightness in the trapezius, the muscles that sit next to the neck. So those are some simple things to do. And if we're sitting, on average, we sit 13 hours a day. So if we're sitting for that protracted period, it's imperative that we are doing retraction, elevation, depression in order to keep and maintain our posture, because posture, and not to get into the weeds too much, is a slow twitch fiber, because you have to maintain that, just like your abs. When you're sitting up, you are using your abs, but they're basically stabilizers. In other words, you're not crunching or doing anything active. So it's important that they develop the stamina or the
That's interesting that you said that because I remember a conversation with you. As I'm aging, as we were talking about aging, it's amazing how different you feel in your 40s than you did even in your 30s. And energy dips is something that I have experienced quite a bit of, and it could be related to also changes in sleep patterns. But when we started talking about just basic posture, I found that when I start paying attention to those things, it actually boosts my energy and helps pull me out of those energy dips. And I know when my energy is low, my confidence tends to follow that pull because I do feel low on energy, or I feel tired, everything sort of slumps, and then like I said, my confidence goes too. So all of this, thinking about the posture, keeping muscles active, you're right, it does take stamina to maintain that throughout the day. But then when I think about the stamina, then I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense why he says we're burning 80 calories an hour just maintaining good posture. That's mind-blowing. And I feel like a lot of people, when they hear NEAT, how they're these little incremental, they're like, oh, I do plenty of that already. And they quickly dismiss it when we aren't fully aware of how much, like you said, I think you said 13 hours a day on average we sit. And when we sit, we aren't active. Like he said, we're in comfortable chairs mostly, and we're slumped, and our muscles are just relaxed, right? So just adding that simple thing of pulling your shoulders back, opening your chest, pulling your abs in, and maintaining that, the stamina of that, is burning extra calories and giving me more energy and helping my confidence. Like I just haven't yet heard a negative to focusing more on NEAT. And to me, out of all the years of hearing all the gimmicks and the exercise, do this, do that, all these drastic things, this is so simple that it's like, why are we not doing more of this? You can do it while you're at work. You can do it anywhere. It doesn't interrupt anything. You don't have to change anything about your day, and you can have all of these added benefits. I personally am fully on board, and it's mind-blowing to me how something so simple could be so impactful. I don't know if any of this is resonating with you guys. I've been hearing Greg talk about this for years, and I'm glad that he's finally getting out there and talking more about it in public. But do you guys ever feel dips in energy levels? Like say, I know for me, if I have to sit at my desk and do a bunch of things, like whether I pull up a listing agreement or do a dual entry form, because you're entering any of those things, you're just sitting at your desk for a long time. Do you guys ever find that causes
Absolutely.
dips?
Yes. And so I always have to have my 3 p.m. coffee.
Oh, yeah.
But it is interesting. Like if I do work out in the morning, I don't need it, So it's interesting how it's like, yeah, movement definitely.
Movement begets movement.
Yeah.
So I've heard. Isn't that basic physics, Greg?
yes, an object in motion stays in motion. Yes, and an object at rest stays at rest unless acted upon. Yes. So that's the basic principle of Newton's law.
Well, that makes a lot of sense then.
Yeah.
You're able to go through your day continuously because you work out. And I want to point out, and we say this all the time, we're not advocating that people don't need to work out. That is not at all. We work out all the time, probably obsessively, but it's just interesting as we're aging to see how these little things that can be inserted and added on to whatever you already do, or if you do nothing at all, it's even more beneficial, but how simple that it can be to make even more progress and the benefits of that. Stephanie, do you ever get dips in energy?
Oh,
I'll be honest with you, she never looks like it.
No, I am I have a lot of dips in energy, honestly. But if I do work out, I do find that I'm a lot more energized. But I think into my sleep schedule is very all over the place. So I'm always kind of dragging. I'm always kind of tired.
Can I ask
sleepy.
why? What causes I know what causes mine.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I think I've just always been like that. If I don't, and I'm not very consistent at working out either. So, and probably food, too, heavier food, or not eating healthy. It's probably a big thing too, not getting much sleep. So.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I know Greg is always, not to get into the weeds or anything, but Greg is always talking about ultra-processed foods and the impact that has, the negative impact that has on our energy levels. So, Greg, I know we were talking about this earlier this week about ultra-processed foods and how we would love to get on the show and talk about the effects of that and how we'd rather people not eat those bad foods, but when we do, and we find ourselves slipping into that slump, like how we can just kind of begin to tackle that counter those negative effects with non-exercise activity, thermogenesis, all the little simple movements. But
Exactly. And like you said, not to elaborate further, but UPFs are really a problem and a growing problem because it's manufactured food. I mean, Cheetos, that's nothing but manufactured, or Cocoa Puffs, that's manufactured. It's not real food. And the long-term consequences of that, we are just now studying and just now finding out. But movement, again, will help because these processed foods absorb so quickly in our system and spike blood sugar levels, which increases insulin. Insulin's a fat storing hormone. And so that's why we go through waves. That's another reason why. Because if we eat a food that is concentrated and processed food, we're going to spike blood sugar levels. So we don't want to do that. If we can maintain them or keep them on balance, then our energy levels will be a lot more consistent.
that makes sense. I mean, all of this stuff works hand in hand, I guess. Ladies, I'm curious because you both seem so like confident and put together. What advice do you think you would give to other women that maybe are approaching the dating scene or in a relationship and struggling with feeling confident in their body? Is there something that you have connected to over the years, or what would be your advice to those women who maybe struggle with that?
I would say when approaching the dating scene, know what you want first. And focus on yourself more. Because you are the prize, you know? So it's like, focus on yourself. And I feel like if people realize that, like, okay, I am the prize, or I need to focus on myself, they'll approach things more confidently instead of desperately. So,
Yes. And I think, so when I hear, because I hear this all the time, I hear women saying that they're the prize. And initially when I first started hearing it, I used to like get repulsed by it because I'm like, that is so arrogant. Like one of my biggest pet peeves since I was little was arrogance. Like I couldn't stand people who thought they were better than other people. But as I have gotten older and realized that while I was waiting for so many people to value me over the years, there was only one person that needed to value me, and that was me. So all those years I waited trying to prove myself and getting other people to value me and being a people pleaser, it was in that aha moment of, Jamie, you never saw your own value. So most of those other people did, and that might be why they treated you the way they did, because you didn't see it. So now when I hear women say, you are the prize, I get it. I hear it differently now. I go, yes, because you do, as a woman, I think, have to know your own value and worth before you step out there and ask someone else to see it.
Right.
And actually you shouldn't have to ask them to see it, right, if it's the right person. But yeah, it's interesting. I wanted to kind of take a moment to say that because I used to hear that and take it so negatively and think, these women, they just think they're the prize and they just don't have to do anything, they just have to show up and the men are supposed to worship them. And I don't think that's what women are saying at all. I think what they're saying, well, although it doesn't sound that bad, does it?
We're saying a little bit of that.
Yeah, but I guess I'm hearing it differently now and going, you know, I was kind of on the other end of the spectrum, constantly trying to throw myself under the bus to make other people feel good and not realizing what I have in myself. So just thought I'd throw that out there in case there are other women who are having a hard time hearing that and seeing themselves as a prize. We do need to know our own worth. So I'm glad you said that.
And it goes hand in hand too. I think with like the other person, they also need to see their own worth as well. You
exactly.
know? So it's like two whole people coming together. That's the ideal situation, you know?
Yes. So yes. And I honestly, that's confession. I was hesitant to say this. I was like, Greg brought it up already, so I can. But watching Love Island and watching those young people interact, it's so funny. At 20, I didn't know what a narcissist was. I didn't know all these terms that people throw around. I didn't know what any of that stuff was. But I watch the show now and I see these characters and I go, oh my gosh, he's so self-centered and she is giving and doing everything and reacting to make him okay. It's like they both need to do work on themselves. She needs to see her own worth and he needs to like understand that the world doesn't revolve around him. It's like they're on two opposite ends of the spectrum. So it's just funny. Like you said, two people have to know themselves and know their own worth, but also have the ability to see their weaknesses as well so that they can work well with someone else. So that's great advice. Stephanie, what would you tell a young woman out there?
I think for me personally, I'm not religious, but I do have a relationship with God, and that's where my value comes from. That's where it's rooted in. So that's where I've always ran back to. So I kind of find that my confidence comes from that. And if I find that something isn't working out with a person, that's just not my person. And it's easy for me to move on.
Because your faith is in God.
Yeah.
Because, there's no need to worry because he's got you.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I think, too, if you're emotionally mature, things are going to turn you off really quick. So, and I don't think that should take away from your confidence as a person because this is just not your person.
Right.
So,
keeps it
that's how
simple.
I approach it. Yeah.
I love it. Well, the last thing I wanted to mention is just sort of something else Greg had taught me about kind of owning your space. And as we're sharing how movement can impact your confidence in the dating scene or in your current relationships, big movements. We talked about posture, we talked about core, but also making yourself big. And I know this is not new science out there, but standing up, and taking up the whole space, and even just doing big arm movements. And so if you're feeling yourself shrinking, do the opposite. It's pretty logical, right? So take on some big movements and take up some space.
I'm going to be doing that in the office.
Both of us will be over there. Why not? Maybe it'll catch on, right? We'll start the movement revolution. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for us today. Greg, did you want to add anything before we go?
No, I agree perfectly with what you said of pulling out, expanding, stretching up towards the ceiling and pulling back, retracting, just to go ahead and get recentered, because if you're sitting that long, you definitely need to keep moving.
Yes, we can't stress enough the dangers of sedentary or lack of activity. So yes, if nothing else, your takeaway should always be from every episode, keep it moving and keep it simple. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
You're welcome.
Bye.